a man walk away from a child that he has been raising for 3, 5, 10, 15 years simply because the DNA test shows that he's not the biological father? Hear me out here. I'm not being insensitive. I know that his world has just been turned upside down. I know he feels betrayed. He's devastated. I empathize. I sympathize with his predicament. However, how is one able to walk away from a child that one has bonded with, loved, nurtured, poured blood and sweat into, simply because the DNA test shows that you're not the biological father? I understand getting rid of the wife or the girlfriend. The word I actually want to use starts with a W and rhymes with sure. Get rid of the W. But the children or the child, the innocent child, it is flummoxing to me. Now, I'm not a man and I do not know how this impacts men. I also know that there's deep shame. But were I in that predicament, of course I would be devastated. I'd be hurt and betrayed. But then I'd let the children know or the child know. You may not be my biological child, but you're still my child. I love you. You are my child in my heart. I've bonded with you. I've raised you. So nothing changes. Now I know a lot of men worry about, oh, then I have to continue paying I have to pay child support now that we're not together. So what? I'd pay the child support. Because you know what? Even though everything has changed, nothing should have changed, because it's still the child that I raised, bonded with, and loved. And in an attempt not to pay child support, one ends up cutting off one's nose to spite one's face. Because you got to look at the big picture, the relationship with that child, the continued relationship, and the ability to go ahead and raise and nurture that child, because you already have that bonded relationship. But once again, because I'm not a man, I do not understand how anybody can walk away from a child. Story time. My husband had a boss about 20 years ago. This gentleman's son had some medical issues. And to make a long story short, he found out that his 19-year-old son was not his biological child. Needless to say, he was devastated. But you know what? He had raised this child for 19 years, was paying for college. This was his son, and he was not going to let him go. And my heart broke for him, but I was so proud of this man because he did not walk away from his child. And
I just can't take anymore, man. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Basham, Yahushai, Basham, Awakakwadash, double honors to the apostles of the great millstone who rule well, teach well, taught us this truth the correct way. So what you have here is an example of a woman who is completely blinded to factual truth, because she can't put herself in the position of a man, because she's not one. She's meddling in affairs that do not belong to her, being a goddamn busybody. That's number two. Number three, the person in violation in question from the very beginning is an adulterer, an adulteress. That's why the man is not going to continue to support that. All right, because what happened is, if a man has a baby with a woman while you're together, that's called the act of adultery, and the baby that's born of adultery is going to be cursed as well. Just like the woman that did that and the man that did it. And it's a punishment worthy of death. That's another reason why these stupid ass so-called Christian women, the anti-Christian women, don't get it, and they're perpetuating and spewing this madness out online. That's why TikTok makes and provides a platform for everybody. So before, you used to have to be well known to be famous. You know, you used to have to be a famous actor or a model or something like that, you know, in order to be world renowned. You know what I'm saying? Get notoriety and fame and everything. But now it's easy, man. And the reason why is because evils are multiplied in the earth. This is the last days. Men are lovers of their own selves. All right. They're proud, blasphemers. And what she's talking about right here is goddamn blasphemy. Why the hell would you want to deal with another man's seed that committed adultery against you and sit there and raise it? You stupid clown. Let me show you what the punishment is for adultery. All right. This is what she failed to realize. I could see leaving the woman. Okay. Shit. Let me see. Put to death. That's probably a lot of scriptures on this. Probably a lot of scriptures on being put to death, man. See, that's what people don't understand. There's a lot of scriptures that talk about this. Okay. Leviticus 20:10, and the man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Now, why the hell would you bond with the seed of an adulterer and think that, you wouldn't have some type of disdain for the person who impregnated your woman? The whole entire scenario is against the commandments of the Most High, and all parties are worthy of death. All right. And the punishment upon them and the sin curse upon them for that, what is born of that wickedness must be punished. That's facts, man. How the hell is that allowed to prosper? Okay. You're not going to be allowed to prosper in that. Galatians 6:7, this is, be not deceived. The Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Okay? So no, we're not going to accept it. It's easy for you to say to accept it because there's no liability on your part. And this dumbass woman said, oh, I'm just go ahead and continue to pay the child support. I know you have to pay child support, but support it anyway. Support the adultery. Just endure it. See, this is, again, the mind of the destroyed so-called black woman. And again, they lead the show. You never see so-called white women or Puerto Rican women talking about shit like this. They're going to mind their goddamn business. They're not going to lead the way in wickedness. See, they shift the culture. The so-called black woman is responsible for shifting the culture. She's solely responsible for shifting the culture of women and men into rebellion. That's what they're good for. That's why they got these female rappers out here now, man. All right? So don't listen to what they say, all right? Women should be, the aged women, which this woman's extremely aged, okay? She's probably a grandma, if anything, and or at least a grandmother's age. And she should be teaching the younger women to love their husbands, to be sober, okay? Not to be committing adultery. She should be rebuking that shit. She should be saying the complete opposite of what she's saying.
At times, some men might think walking away from the child is a way to punish the woman for her betrayal. But at the end of the day, the person you're hurting is the child.
So what? So what? Because guess what? Ultimately, guess what, man? That child was born of adultery from an adulterer. And the woman's an adulteress too. So why would you continue to sit there and act? See, that's why the scriptures say, man, whoever died being innocent, all of these people are guilty and needed to be blamed. But in this particular situation, in regards to this, the man who didn't commit adultery, who was just sitting there, who didn't know what was going on, and that man, committed adultery against him ultimately and slept with his wife, which is another wicked act, and then had the baby and didn't have the common courtesy to actually explain herself to reveal what happened. All right. And she know that deep down that that's not that guy's kid because she, multiple partners at the time. She was committing adultery around the conception. She knows what was going on. What, did you not remember what happened? Were you asleep when it happened? You see, were you sleeping when it happened and you didn't know what went down? This is absolute madness, man.
And I can't help but wonder, won't you be traumatized as a person walking away from someone that you've bonded with?
Yeah, you would be traumatized. Absolutely, you'd be traumatized. But the reverse of what she thinks, that's why this lady just needs to keep quiet. Get the hell off of social media. Why are you even on social media if you have a husband? Showing your cleavage. These women really need to get rebuked. They think that their presence needs to be felt besides in their own household. Why can't you just be content being a wife? Is it not enough? I mean, you're living life on easy mode and you still want to keep, you still want to add difficulty to your easy mode life. You see, because what this person is simply doing here is called sin. All right, James 4:17 says, the good that you knoweth to do and doeth it not, to him it is sin. All right. So she knows that she's not supposed to, or if she doesn't know, she need to know that what she's doing is wrong. Speaking on this matter. Number two, she shouldn't be perpetuating anything online and trying to voice an opinion. Just keep your opinions to yourself. This matter has nothing to do with you, and you're influencing people. These social influencers, that's exactly what they're doing. There's culture shifting social media influencers, and they think because they're getting paid to do this, if they are, and it's wild, man. What's she say in this caption? Psychology games to try to get them back. Bye bye community. Woke movement lost men. What? Psychology games to try and get them back. It's not getting a girl back by leaving the son or daughter's life that she committed adultery to make. It's called righteousness. It's right. It is justice. Ultimately, in some form, really, it's called preserving your dignity. You get the hell up out of that situation when you realize that the woman has committed adultery. You freaking leave, man. All right, now, again, in the ancient world, it would have been a different situation. You would have brought it onto the elders, all right? We would have brought them onto the apostles and been like, hey, apostle, this person is committing adultery, and here's the other guy, too. We got him. We yapped him up. All right, bring him over here. Let's get it. And everybody would have stoned him. All right, they would have been stoned to death. And there'd be no explanation, man. It'd just be a wrap. All right, we did the DNA test. We found out that DNA goes back to this clown right here. You know what I mean? He was committing adultery, and I didn't even know. Now I know the truth. All right, so bring them both over here. They out of here. And that's that. You'd be convicted. All right, now adultery is not punishable, period, in America. And what does that tell you? I thought this land was part of the, what do they call it? A nation founded on so-called Judeo-Christian values. And that's a bunch of madness. Because they don't punish that. And I believe it was Alexander, what was it, Hamilton? I think it was, I believe it was Thomas Jefferson, if I'm not mistaken, who committed adultery. One of the United States presidents committed adultery, and the guy found out and wrote him a letter. And he was a lawyer. And I'll post it on the post-production, Lord willing, if I remember. And, that's when adultery was punished. He got charged with the crime of adultery. You know what I mean? Because he was with another man's wife. And that's not a nation founded on Judeo-Christian values. They just tell you that as potential rhetoric, so that you think that America is some type of righteous kingdom when it's really been founded on bloodshed. And you got people like this who is so lost as hell, pushing that stuff. That's why I say, from the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Imagine if we listened to this lady. Situations like this, I know it's not your kid, but just grin and bear it and sit there and relax and chill. Just deal with the dishonor all of your life and pay money out of your pocket too. Take your money and provide for another adulterer's legacy. Because that's what, the children are. Children are the legacy of the father, the progenitor, all right? The posterity is the legacy of the progenitor, okay? So we're not going to preserve or help and assist and maintain the legacy of an adulterer, man, or an adulteress. The hell with America for this shit, man. And why is this woman even talking like this? She should be locked up for this. But they don't talk about it. She's perpetuating the concept of adultery and trying to support it. That's not good. That should be illegal. But again, they don't care. America's going to be destroyed. Okay? That's why it's the great whore. And ultimately, America, Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America, is the hold of every foul and unclean and hateful bird, all right? Excuse me, the cage of every foul and unclean and hateful bird. It's a disgusting cesspool of darkness, man, and philosophies of the wicked. Just like this woman who is a witch. She talking about witches? Witches, tea, black men are stupid? What? All right, man. On to the next one, man. If this is your first time watching this channel, man, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.